Hello, this is Mesh and welcome to this theories video on WestWorld Season 2. If you didn't catch my review video, check that out for a recap of events from this week's episode, so that was episode 2 of Season 2. So this is a theories video. I aim to do a weekly after the show has really sunk in theories video. This time I have 3 main questions so far with this season and a few theories to try and answer them. So let us begin. So question number 1, what is the city we see Arnold showing Dolores? A few points to remember around this question. We have seen those Chinese soldiers that visited the shore of WestWorld in episode 1. In the background of a few shots I'll put in the background here, we have an art gallery by the look of it called Space 47, and that has Chinese writing, which is, I think it says the same thing, it just says Space 47 in Chinese. Also, Arnold specifically said he's making this building, this house, to be closer, to bring his family closer to work. So what does all this tell us? It could be a location within reach of the Chinese mainland. Or it could mean nothing at all. I'm sure most big cities in the world often have languages scattered around the other place that are Chinese, Japanese, anything. One explanation, it could just be a suggestion here from the writers that China has increased its global power in the future, and as they are doing now, having that Chinese writing in a major city is quite possibly meaningless, and having the Chinese Navy show up on the shore could also be classified as meaningless as well. But still, these are deliberate choices that the writers have made to show us, so they're trying to tell a story. So bearing that in mind, I will say I believe that they're trying to suggest to us that WestWorld is an island in the Pacific region that would perhaps suggest the city that Arnold is showing to Dolores is possibly in China, possibly around Japan, or at least, in the very least, on the east coast of China, in that region there. So now moving on to option B for how to explain this city. So another option could be, is this just another park within WestWorld itself, so within the facility? The thought did cross my mind, perhaps this city is just full of hosts. And one logical reason behind that, I guess, is the explanation of how did Robert and Arnold get all the hosts to this hotel room, to the sales pitch to Logan. It seems very problematic and very time consuming for what they're trying to do. So I guess you could say it could have been made a lot easier if the whole facility was actually still within their realm of responsibility and just another park within WestWorld. Okay, now on to question number 2. Is Robert Ford really dead? It's been a theory I've seen thrown around since the finale of season 1. I never really bought into it myself. I love the concept, but I also thought it would cheapen the whole pinnacle, the whole start of the revolution, if it was all based upon a lie. By not killing Robert, they've actually killed a host version of him. But in season 2, we've now had 2 instances when Robert has communicated directly with the Men in Black or older William since Robert's death. So the first event, I kind of dismissed it as clever programming in which Robert has scripted his younger self to speak to William. But you can hear a second voice within the boy's voice as well, which is a bit weird. So almost as if it was just using the boy's host as a relay. And now again, in episode 2, we have a deliberate act, a decision that's thwarted William's plans. Could this be explained away with planning? Of course it could. Robert was a very intelligent man and he could have planned a lot of these type of things. But what's the fun in that? So I think we have 3 options to explain what's going on here with Robert's involvement in the park after his death. So theory A. As I mentioned before, this could all just be very clever planning by Robert himself. So he's predicted a lot of movements of people, he's predicted the movements of the Man in Black or William. So that's just once again pointing to how smart Robert actually was. Okay, so theory B. So this is where the real fun begins. Could Robert have transferred his consciousness, or a small part of his consciousness, into the infrastructure of WestWorld? If an AI can become sentient in this world, does that also suggest that we can upload our own minds with the same technology? Okay, so theory C. Robert isn't dead at all. He used a host to start the revolution. So to start the revolution narrative, he uploaded the host, sent it on its way, and Nat was killed, not himself. So Robert may be sitting in a bunker somewhere, pulling the strings, still in control, watching his puppet show unfold from the safety of a locked bunker. And finally, question number 3. What is this secret weapon? What did William create? What is in the valley beyond? So what we know so far, William has created something, historically, something he now regrets, something which he also showed to Dolores, something which Dolores has interpreted as a weapon. At this point, it looks like it was going to be something physical, but when we have the scene there where William showed Dolores, when they were together, it looked as if it was just a location that something was happening in. Could that tie together with the Sea of Death that we saw in episode 1, where we have all the hosts dead in the ocean? That was very mysterious. So there are a few options which I think can make sense in this scenario. So let's start with theory A. When William showed that location to Dolores, perhaps she was unable to really see what he was talking about, so we may have seen that scene from her vision. Previously, as Bernard has done, when we've looked at pictures where Bernard was missing. Things like that. If you just take the physical attributes from that scene, it looks like that those earth movers are clearing a space for a canyon or a body of water. That to me makes it a possibility that it does relate to episode 1, but the reason behind the body of water or this big canyon is still quite unknown. But that seems to be, I guess, a logical visual representation of what is occurring. So theory B. Could William have just been prepping the site for an installation perhaps? When Dolores says weapon, could we have a military angle here? If you could build an army of hosts that you could wage war with, you would have no loss of life on your side. You'd have a loyal army of hosts, and you wouldn't really care if they died. I'm sure any nation, a warring nation, would really love that, so there's an angle there of financial gain for the park if that has occurred. Theory C, data. Could those earth movers just be a metaphor for digging dirt, getting the dirt on guests? Could the weapon be data itself? Could the weapon be the data stored about all the guests that Delos has? So Dolores can bribe her way into the real world and get money and power by using that data as her bargaining chip. But data is digital, right? So it shouldn't be locational based. Well, in theory, unless it's a suggestion of a big data center in the park where all the data is stored. But the same still applies. If it was a massive data center, we do see the DNA and data being uploaded remotely at one of Charlotte's labs there. We see that happening. And also she managed to hive off a whole bunch of data remotely also. So why can't Dolores and the Man in Black do the same? So I kind of cancelled out that theory myself, but I still think it's a cool concept. So those are my theories so far. I admit none of them are perfect, and it's a whole lot of fun. It's a whole lot of fun to talk about it, it's a whole lot of fun to think about it. So take it all with a grain of salt. Well, let me know your thoughts. What are your answers to those questions? What are your theories? Leave all that feedback below. But I'll leave this video here for now. So until next time, I'll see you later.